gonna shine when the light grows dim. Sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. 'Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. 'Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it.
Welcome back, everyone, to Fear of a Flat Planet. I'm Liam Brearley, and today I'm here with next-gen athlete SOMMER GENDRON. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. So, how have you been? How was, let's do a little catch-up. How was your off season and everything up until this winter?
Yeah, so quarantine was super long, it felt like.
Yeah.
Was just missing snowboarding, and then we got to head out to Sauce Bay in October for a session, and I was super stoked about that. I ended up on the first 2 days falling, and I ended up breaking my back and my knee in the same fall. So I've just kind of been recovering from that.
Yeah, that's rough. And I did hear that you didn't really know about the other injuries other than your knee until a while after that fall, because I was there with you as well, and it was all a big mess there with having the new restrictions everywhere and everything like that in hospitals. And what happened there, I guess, with the hospitals and every thing that you had to do?
Yeah, it was super crazy because I had fallen and I was like, okay, everything feels pretty good. I think normally we can all tell okay, nothing's broken.
Yeah.
And I kind of was having that feeling. So I was like, okay, I got up, got up, moved to the side, was laying there for a while. I got all checked out and I was like, okay, I'm gonna ride down to the T-bar. So I did that. I got to the T-bar and then I took the sled out and downloaded. And I was definitely feeling the pain, and that's when it all kind of hit me. And then I went to the doctors and got checked out right from there. And I got x-rays on my knee and they were like, okay, you're good. Your back looks pretty good. She just checked it. So I thought I was good to go. So I took a couple days off and went back to it. I was definitely super sore, did a bunch of ice baths and everything I could. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go try to ride because I wanted to so bad.
Oh yeah, and it was nice.
I did ride.
We were there too.
Pardon?
It was nice most of the days while we were there as well. So
yeah, it was super nice. Everyone's there. I was super stoked. I was with my sister. I was like, okay, let's go up, and started hitting some small rails, small jumps, tried to ease back into it. And I was like, okay, this is, my knee's definitely hurting, my back's definitely hurting. So 2 weeks after, I rode for 2 weeks, just kind of cruisy, just for fun. And then Mike, our coach, was like, okay, I think you should go get the MRI on the knee, just so we know.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be maybe a little bit of bruising, not much, but that's when they found the fracture. And then from there, I was like,
one sec. What bone was it that was fractured?
It was my tibia. It was a millimeter fracture in the tibia.
Okay. So then I guess it was just progressively getting worse as you were riding more.
Yeah, it might have, but it definitely was a super small fracture. I got really lucky. If it was any ligaments or anything else, it would have been a lot longer recovery. But my knee's really stable. Everything's healing up good. And then, yeah, I just went home from there. And then when my back was still hurting at home, I got it checked out and found a fracture in it. That was wild. A month after.
Always the worst. Just have to not snowboard for longer.
Yeah, it was such a bummer because it was the first few days and I was like, oh. But I'm just grateful it wasn't any worse, honestly.
Yeah, definitely lucky that it's not anything huge and you're not out right at the start of the season for the whole year.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, well, speaking of this year, did you do anything differently during this summer, during the off season, in preparation for this season, or was it kind of I know it was a normal summer for some people because nothing really changed, but what was it like for you in Calgary?
For me, I was I'm just gonna take this time to really get strong for the winter because going into a big season, I really wanted to feel my best, and I think that really did help with my injury, just because I feel anything could have gone worse. But yeah, I basically just like, I trained every single day. I think I took like 1 day off a week. And I was like feeling really, really strong and really good. And yeah, that's kind of what I focus on, and just like more the mental side of it and like getting mentally prepared and all that. But it was like just kind of a chill time for me mostly.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of people were doing, getting into different things like new hobbies during quarantine and everything like that. Did you pick up anything new or like any sort of different sports or anything like that over the summer?
I like got more into skateboarding. I've always kind of like skated a bit, but this year my sister and I were like going to different parks and like really trying to actually learn stuff. And that was super fun. And then I kind of like did some creative stuff, which I don't normally do. Like I like would get a pair of jeans at Walmart and like paint them, and like I did kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
clothing flipping. Like we went to thrift stores and like cut stuff, and I was kind of getting into like fashion like that, and I feel like I changed my style over the quarantine, so that was like something I really liked.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, well, changing topic here, back to snowboarding. Um, we want to know you and how you grew up with snowboarding. So I want you to tell the story of how you first got into snowboarding, like your first snowboard competition, teams, and everything like that growing up.
Yeah, so I grew up in Ontario, East Coast with you.
Oh yeah.
I started at like a smaller club called Beaver Valley. We had a little cabin there we'd go to on the weekend. And so that, like, I started out skiing when I was 2. And when I turned 9, it was like March break. And my sister and I really wanted to try snowboarding. She was 2 years younger than me. And we both like rented boards and like had a little lesson. And we were like, okay, like, I love snowboarding. I'm obsessed with it. So from there, we kind of like, there was like this little all girls freestyle group that we went into, and they'd kind of teach you how to like hit boxes. Like it was super fun. It was like a Roxy group, and
Oh yeah.
they were super nice. And yeah, it was just like a super fun environment.
And that was out of Beaver Valley, right?
Yeah, that was out of Beaver Valley. And then after like a year or two of doing that, we decided like we really wanted to go into more like bigger jumps, bigger features. So we moved over to Mount St. Louis, and I would stay at my grandparents' house on the weekend near Louis, and we'd go there and ride the weekend. I'd ride with you and all the crew.
And
And
you're on Icarus at that time, right?
yeah, I joined this club called Icarus, and I loved the coaches, loved everything about it. It was like super all in snowboarding, like all during the week of school. I'd just be like, can't wait for the weekend. So stoked.
Same.
Yeah, I loved it. And yeah, like it's basically just all I wanted to do. And like going on like little trips, starting with like the NORAM tour and all that stuff. Like I really was stoked to get into that scene. And then yeah, from there, just like going into World Cups and stuff like that. It's been really a fun journey.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so you got your first snowboard when you were 9.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay. Then from there, you were training at Beaver Valley for how long?
I can't even remember what year we moved over. I think like I would have been 14 or 15 when we moved to Louis.
Okay, so then a few years there, and then you were on Next Gen not long after that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did 1 year at Louis and like started competing that year, and then the next year I was onto the team. So yeah, I was like super stoked.
And you've been on the team for how many years now?
I think that 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's sick. Okay, another thing I wanted to talk about is while growing up throughout your snowboarding career as well, what was your like view and what like sponsors did you have that were helping you along the way, things like that?
Yeah, so my like first board was like a hand-me-down board, and it was a Burton one from
Right.
our neighbor. And I was so stoked, and I had like rainbows on it, and it was just my favorite thing
Yeah.
ever. And then from there, like I just always loved Burton as a company. And my coach on Icarus he was friends with the Toronto Ret. So he kind of like introduced me to him, started going through him, like started working my way in there. And I like loved Burton. Like it was just it still is like, I'm just obsessed with the whole brand, like everything about it. So it's just like a dream come true to me. I remember like the day I found out I got sponsored by them, I was just crying in the car, like so stoked. And yeah, that's like kind of how I started with Burton, and I'm stoked to still be in it.
And yeah, so did you get sponsored by Burton when you were on the Beaver Valley team, or was that Louis, or when?
That was at Louis that year.
Okay, and so you've been on the Burton team for roughly 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay, and another thing that I wanted to ask you, specifically in terms of Burton, new technology that Burton comes out with, like the step-on bindings or like a new shape of board or whatever it is, are you the type of rider that you want to like go and try that stuff like right away and like sort of test the product out, or would you rather stick to what you've been riding just because you know you can perform well on it?
Yeah, I think it's like super cool, all the technology they've come out with, like step on and all that. I would love to try step on. I haven't yet. But yeah, like for the most part, I like to stick with what I know and like what works for me. But I'm like would be super open to try stuff as well. It's just getting there.
Yeah, for sure. And then, okay, specifically, in competition, would you be comfortable with riding those bindings? Because I know there's like a lot of like suspicion, like people are kind of like scared of them, but like they're proven to be like well functioning, they keep your feet in. But I want to know your personal opinion, like would you be comfortable riding those in like a big air?
I would probably have to like try it myself, but from the videos I've seen, like I would for sure probably do that. Like I've seen like videos of Mark and stuff and doing like all his regular tricks with step on, and it looks like super solid, super sweet. Like I'd be down to do that for sure.
Yeah, that's something I would like to try. Yeah, I'm not on Burton, but that would be a cool thing to do because that's the only like that like certain type of technology. Like no other brands have come out with anything like that, and that's what I think is really cool about Burton too.
Yeah, it's like the future.
The future. We're going into the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing, music. Do you listen to music when you ride?
I do listen to music. I love music. I find if I forgot my headphones that day, I'm like, oh, like it just like kind of pumps you up and gets you stoked to board. And like, I love when you're going to go try a new trick and you like put in your favorite song. Yeah, I definitely ride to music.
Okay, then what do you think is the best type of headphone to ride with?
I ride with AirPods, so like wireless. Just like I used to have the wires like going all down my shirts and stuff, but you know, like holes on it. Like now switching to wireless, I switched last year and I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely convenient. And I ride with AirPods too, but I know that some people have had them fall out. Has that happened to you before?
No, that hasn't happened to me, but I've like seen it happen to people and it just drops in the white snow and they're like, I
Gone.
can't see it, gone.
Yeah. So I know people have lost a few pairs, but that's good that you haven't. And so what sort of like genres of music do you listen to when you snowboard? Do you listen to like different things to like pump you up as opposed to like when you're actually snowboarding, or what? Walk me through that.
I kind of listen to like a wide variety of stuff. Like I definitely like the new rap and trap songs and like all that, but also I have like a couple old songs like in my background that I always like listen to for a pump up, or like if I'm competing, I have a certain song that I've listened to since I was like 14.
Okay, I was actually going to ask you that because a lot of people have been saying they listen to one song in a competition for like every single time, just on repeat.
Yeah, I found like one time I didn't listen to it and I was like, okay, like I don't need this song anymore. Like it's fine. I'll do one run without it. And I fell and I was like, okay, no, I'm putting the song back in, never changing it. Cause like, I don't really love the song. Like it just kind of happened, but like, it just works with me somehow. So, but it's Bali by 88 Glam.
Oh, I don't actually know that song, but I know the artist.
Yeah. It's like, it was an old song. It was like popular when I started listening to it. And like now I never listen to it unless I'm competing. But yeah, it's like my song.
I can't do that. I always have to like
Mix it
switch it up, and I don't know, but that seems to work for like a lot of people, so maybe I should try it.
Maybe you should pick one.
Maybe I don't know if I could pick one though. That's the problem.
No, I feel like it just has to like come to you, you know?
Yeah, it just has to like work well one time. Is that what happened?
Yeah. And even sometimes like I'll learn a new trick to a certain song and then that'll be like my song for the week or something like that. Like I'm always just changing.
Okay, that's cool. So I wanted to know as well your favorite part about the girls' side of snowboarding. I haven't asked this question to anyone yet, but I was interested because, girls snowboarding compared to like girls like culture in other sports, I know is like very different. Well, snowboarding is very different in the first place, but I wanted to get your personal opinion about that side of things.
Yeah, I think like it's definitely women's snowboarding is moving in the right direction. Like now you just see so many more films and like more stuff of girls represented more equally, which is really sweet. And I've always like it's just kind of different when you're a girl and you're watching other girls ride. It just gets you more pumped up, more like stoked on girls in general. So I think that's like it's a really good community to be in. And I've felt really accepted in women's snowboarding. Like all the girls I've met who I've looked up to for years have been like super accepting, super nice and encouraging. Yeah, I think it's just like it's definitely been like a hard time for girls in the past, just like in a male dominated sport, kind of like trying to push up. But now with like the progression that it's at, like everyone's just killing it. Like the girls are at where the guys were at not just a couple of years ago. So it's
Yeah,
sweet.
for
And
sure. And I think it's one of those sports where the girls are like in closer quarters to the guys in terms of progression, like skateboarding and like most board sports. There's not that much of a difference as opposed to like some other sports, like mainstream sports kind of thing. And
mhm.
I think that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah, it's really sweet to see. Like it's sick.
Yeah. Okay. And then on the contrary, what are your pet peeves with snowboarding? It doesn't have to be girls, it's just snowboarding in general.
Snowboarding in general.
Could be a trend, a social media thing, whatever you want.
I feel like the only thing that comes to mind is like kind of when you like talking to someone who doesn't really understand snowboarding and you're like, oh yeah, like I'm a snowboarder, and they're like, oh, you're just a lazy dropout, like
And
just
you
kind of
smoke
stereotype.
all the time, and yeah.
Yeah, it's like they don't take it as seriously as like another sport, say, even though it's like pretty extreme sport, I'd say. Like
Yeah,
a
definitely.
lot of people know what goes into it and like how scary it can be and all that. But yeah, I think that's kind of the only pet peeve I could think of.
Yeah, and that's actually accurate. I haven't heard that one yet. So, uh, yeah, it's definitely good to hear, and I can relate. And then you get but can you backflip?
Yeah, or just like, yeah, it's just like whenever you meet someone who doesn't get it, they're like, oh, you're just a snowboarder. Like, what do you do? Kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is annoying
Yeah,
for sure. I think that would be one of mine as well.
yeah.
Okay. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about, general idea, is what are your goals and how are you going to get to the next level, say like the national team, and how you're going to achieve those goals, and plans for like this upcoming season.
Yeah, my goals for this upcoming season is definitely just like come back on my board stronger than I was and like more mentally prepared. I've definitely been working on the mental side. And for this season, I definitely want to qualify for the Olympics. That's like my top priority. So I'm
Yeah,
definitely gonna do everything I can to get there. It's like always been my dream to go to the Olympics. I started snowboarding because at Beaver Valley I was watching like the TV and it was the Olympics were on and I saw like Jamie winning the Olympics and I was like, okay, I'm gonna snowboard full time. Like I want to go there.
that was the switch.
Yeah, that was the switch. I was with my mom and like even now she still talks about it and like it would just be insane to get there. So that's like all my energy is going into the Olympics this year.
Okay, yeah, and it's a big season for a lot of people. A lot of people are training really hard just to like because it's qualifying year. They have to do well in all their competitions and everything like that. And I think
Yeah.
that's definitely a really good goal for a lot of the people on our team, and you especially. Then long term, like not just next year, do you have any other goals like the national team or things other than the Olympics?
Yeah, I definitely want to get onto the national team. I've been like trying for the last few years and I feel like I'm working my way up there. But other than that, like I definitely just have like goals to like have my own video part one day or like just do something cool like filming and I just really want to progress like my tricks and my style and like have dope edits and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I've asked a few people like whether they would want to make full part if like all competitions got canceled and things like that. And a lot of people said that that would be like a cool thing that they want to do. And
Yeah.
so maybe we should just make a Canada snowboard team part.
Imagine that'd be sick.
That would be sick. But yeah, definitely some filming projects would be well, one of the better things to do if
Mhm.
we didn't have any competitions.
Yeah, for sure. It's like so crazy with COVID and everything going on. Like you never even know what's gonna happen or not these
Yeah,
days.
gets in the way of everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that you grew up snowboarding in Ontario. You told us that story. Just a quick few things. If you want to help Ontario snowboard, you can go to the Canada Snowboard website. We have tons of cool merch. And if you donate on that website, you can support the team directly or the province that you would like to donate to. So you can go on the website, you can choose Ontario Snowboard, and you can donate money to help the smaller teams. They can make it to the next gen team, make it to the national team, and help those riders progress and all that funding and everything. A big thank you to Canada Snowboard and Skull Candy for helping out with this podcast. And thank you to you, Summer, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Liam.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you, and I'll talk to you later.